So in this video, we're going to cover how to research a possible network problem between your dealership or business and our servers in Atlanta. Um, the first thing that we need to do is open up a browser and do a quick search for WinMTR. You can see it here at the top of the screen. You're going to end up on a page similar to this. You're going to click the download link right here, and then we're going to download the 64-bit version of this application. For whatever reason, the download seems to include both of these versions, but we'll get to that in a minute. So we're going to download the 64-bit version to our desktop and unzip it. It's just a zip file that you'll be downloading. Once you get it unzipped, you're then going to go into a folder, depending on where you tell it to unzip it. I unzipped it to the desktop. But we're going to go into a folder called WinMTR is what I named the main folder. And then inside there, we've got WinMTR version 092 and then underscore x64, which is the 64-bit version. And then we're going to run WinMTR. Now, there's other applications like traceroute and things like that. The WinMTR is more of a graphical representation, and it's a pretty handy utility to have, primarily because once you open it and point it at a URL, it continues to refresh to give you a constant view of what is going on between you and our servers. And this works with any website. But in our case, what we're going to do is once we run this application, we're going to come up here. Lizzy.nizex.com is the main site that you go to when you're logging in and when you're using the system. So we're going to start a trace route back to this server from our location. Now, I'm not that far away, so this is just going from basically south of Atlanta to Atlanta. But in your case, you'll have different numbers. Now, the thing that we're most interested in, the first column here is the hop. Basically, this is my router here in the office. It left my router, went out to the main modem that we have. It's not getting a response back from our modem, which really a non-response doesn't necessarily mean that we have a problem, and in fact we can see that we don't have a problem because all of our losses are all 0%. Anything that we start to see a loss at, we want to kind of pay attention to where that loss starts, because that generally is pretty close to the router that is having the problem. But we're just going to let this run. Now, a couple things to keep note. You do not want to have this running on multiple computers on the same network, because you'll actually start seeing losses when you really don't have them. And that usually is because your router is actually rejecting one or the other of the outgoing telnets or trace routes. So only run this on one computer. But this is basically telling me how many packets I have sent and how many packets I've received. And then we've got our average times, which are basically ping times through each one of those hops. And as you can see, mine are very, very good. You could see, here's one that actually was up to 170. If you're on a really, really bad connection, you may see things up in 500 range. It just really depends on your situation. But the primary thing that I'm after is making sure that I don't have any losses. And again, if I do have losses, where are they actually happening? Now, this is showing you going out over going out over the Charters network. It takes a few public hops, or really one, and then it ends up in the data center there in Atlanta. So we can pretty quickly see that we don't have any issues here. But the idea with a trace route is that if you're having problems getting to Lizzy, generally, in fact, 99.9% of the time, it's not the actual web servers in Atlanta that are the problem. It's usually something between your business and the Atlanta data center. This gives you a really good picture as to where those problems are. Now, if you see the data dropping, inside of the data center, then that would definitely be a problem at the Atlanta data center. or if you see it dropping down here, that might be a problem with our web servers. But generally, it's going to be up here closer to your origin. And so if, for example, I identified that this particular router was giving me a problem, then I would just contact Charter, give them the information here from this trace route. You may even tell it to copy the text to the clipboard, where you can send it to them in an email or whatever, but it gives you a pretty good idea of what's going on between you and us. So this is what we will use with you if you call and report that you're having a problem getting to Lizzy. We actually will go run MTRs here locally first to make sure that we can get to the servers. If we're not having a problem getting to the servers, then we generally will log on to your system and actually run this application. But as you can see, it's pretty easy to run, and it's probably not a bad thing to have on your desktop just to open up real quick and try to do a trace route on your own before you even contact us.